A graduation trip turned into an absolute nightmare in the Bahamas, and now Carnival Cruise Line is facing a lawsuit tied to one of the most horrific excursion accidents that we've seen in a while. Today, we're breaking down every detail of the story involving 22-year-old Hannah Smith, a recent college grad who allegedly lost both of her legs after a catastrophic propeller accident during a Carnival cruise excursion in the Bahamas. Today, we're talking about a lawsuit that's shaking up the cruise world right now involving a Carnival Cruise Line, alcohol, alleged negligence, and a young woman who lost both of her legs during an excursion in the Bahamas. This story is heartbreaking, disturbing, and it raised major questions about cruise excursion safety. Let's get to it. According to reports, a federal lawsuit, Hannah Smith had recently graduated summa cum laude from Miles College and decided to celebrate with a Carnival cruise vacation to the Bahamas alongside her friend. Now, according to the reports, a federal lawsuit filed by Hannah Smith had recently graduated summa cum laude from Miles College and decided to celebrate with a Carnival cruise vacation with her friend in the Bahamas. Now, during the cruise, they booked an excursion to Pearl Island Beach aboard a catamaran ferry operated through excursion partners connected to the cruise experience. The excursion reportedly cost around 79 to 80 bucks. According to the lawsuit, things allegedly started getting out of control almost immediately when the excursion started. Now, in this lawsuit, the excursion staff continuously provided large amounts of rum punch and other alcohol to these passengers. Hannah's legal team also alleged at one point the bartender was pouring drinks directly into her mouth as she accepted them, and another worker allegedly encouraged passengers to smoke marijuana during the excursion. Her attorneys claimed that her blood alcohol level was at 0.447, which is extremely high and dangerous. As the excursion was ending, Hannah reportedly needed to use a restroom and asked the staff where she can go because they didn't have any restrooms on board the ship. So then a crew member told her, "The ocean is your toilet." And you can quote that. That's what was told. The lawsuit states that Hannah entered the water near the vessel believing that the engine was turned off. While she attempted to get back onto the boat, the captain engaged the engine and the propeller violently pulled her underneath the vessel. And needless to say, those injuries were devastating. According to the complaint, her left leg was nearly severed immediately, and she suffered massive injuries to both legs and her pelvis. The lawsuit states that she lost more than 60% of her blood. She was immediately rushed to the hospital in the Bahamas before eventually being airlifted to Miami in critical condition. She underwent 25 surgeries and received 20 units of blood during the treatment. Doctors ultimately amputated both of her legs in that situation. So now the lawsuit names multiple parties, including the excursion operators, Sunkay, Pearl Investment Management Group, and also Carnival Cruise Line. The legal arguments against Carnival is especially interesting because the attorneys claim Carnival marketed the excursion as a safe and vetted experience for all their cruise passengers. Carnival reportedly responded publicly saying that their thoughts are with Hannah Smith and that they remain committed to guest safety, but they declined other comments going forward. Now let's talk about this for a second. A lot of cruise passengers assume excursions are sold through cruise lines are fully safe. They feel like they're heavily monitored and carefully controlled. But stories like this happen from time to time from these third-party excursions. We don't know about their alcohol policies, the staff training, and emergency safety procedures. So is Carnival really vetting these businesses that they partner alongside to do these excursions? Who knows? Because think about this. Why would passengers allegedly be encouraged to enter the water near an active vessel? And why are intoxicated passengers around the dangerous equipment in the first place? So if these allegations are true, how much responsibility should the cruise lines have for these excursions that they promote directly to passengers? That's a debate this lawsuit could spark across the entire cruise industry. So honestly, this is one of those stories that reminds people that excursions can sometimes be more riskier than the cruise itself. And at the end of the day, you have to be an adult. You have to be responsible for yourself. And if you're there with a friend, then you guys should be governing each other. to help each other out. So if you're old enough to drink, you should be old enough to be responsible to handle your liquor and make the right decisions. I've been on quite a few excursions, and yes, they are kind of free with their alcohol, but at the same time, I know myself, I know the people that I'm with, and I know that they got my back. They're going to make sure I don't do anything stupid. So at the end of the day, it's got to be some accountability to the customer as well. But at the same time, I do believe there is some negligence on the company for, number one, having her jump into the water to use the restroom, them not having a restroom available, and two, not really knowing their surroundings as the captain was to turn on the propeller, not knowing that this person was in the water. So definitely we want to keep Hannah Smith and her family in your thoughts, because this is definitely a life-changing event that happened in this young lady's life. And this lawsuit could have major consequences for how cruise excursions are operated in the future. So what do y'all think? Should cruise lines be held responsible for excursion accidents tied to their partners, or should the responsibility fall entirely on the excursion company itself? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Make sure that you hit that like and that subscribe, and I'll see y'all on the next episode of Cruise News, Travel News with Nupe International. And I'll see y'all in the atrium. Peace.